6 months ago, Zimbabwe did something no African government had dared. It shut its own border to its most valuable export. No warning. Every truck carrying raw lithium ore or unrefined concentrate stopped indefinitely. Zimbabwe holds Africa's largest lithium reserves. 1 in every 10 tons of lithium mined on Earth comes from here. And in the first half of this year alone, lithium export revenue hit $782 million, up 230% from the year before. The government's message to the mining giants racing to feed the global EV boom was blunt: process it here or leave it in the ground. This is how one decree turned a mining frontier into a battery chemical manufacturing hub, and why the era of shipping Africa's minerals out as raw dirt is ending. Here's the math behind the decree. When raw spodumene ore leaves the country unprocessed, Zimbabwe captures a sliver of what that lithium is ultimately worth. Convert raw rock into concentrate, and the value roughly triples. Refine that concentrate into lithium sulphate, and it climbs again. Push it all the way to battery-grade lithium hydroxide, and you're capturing the value that actually powers the global EV industry. For years, the raw ore left anyway, some of it through official channels, some of it smuggled across borders, all of it leaving the tax base, the jobs, and the technology transfer behind. Freezing unrefined exports was Zimbabwe's way of forcing that value chain to stay home. When the government held its ground, critics predicted investors would walk away from one of the world's most valuable lithium deposits instead. They didn't. In Goromonzi, China's Huayou Cobalt has already built and switched on Africa's first lithium sulphate plant, a $400 million facility now fully operational, employing over 2,000 people. President Emerson Mnangagwa put it plainly at the opening: "We will no longer tolerate the raw exportation of our wealth." And Goromonzi isn't alone. Sinomine has secured $500 million to build a second sulphate plant at Bikita, coming online in phases starting next year. The state's own Mutapa Energy Resources just closed a $300 million deal, backed by Chinese investors, to build processing capacity at the Sandawana deposit. 3 plants, 3 different stages, 1 operating today, 2 more under construction, and all of it capital that would never have come without the decree. Zimbabwe's move is part of a bigger continental shift. Namibia has banned the export of unprocessed lithium, cobalt, and rare earths outright, pushing companies to build local refining capacity. The Democratic Republic of Congo has moved to control the flow of raw cobalt, leaving its borders. Mali has rewritten its mining code to give the state a much larger equity stake and require local content. At least 13 African countries have now introduced some form of export restriction or beneficiation requirement on their critical minerals. The message to global capital is unified. If you want Africa's minerals to power your green transition, build the factories and train the engineers here. Don't just take the rock. None of this is automatic. Running heavy industrial refineries takes reliable power at scale, and moving processed chemicals to global markets takes real logistics through corridors like Mozambique's Port of Beira. Global lithium prices will keep swinging, the way they always have. But the direction of travel is set. Investors are already pairing new plants with dedicated solar and hydropower deals, and logistics corridors are expanding to keep pace with the plants coming online. The execution challenge is real, and it's exactly the kind of challenge that comes with building something worth having. Zimbabwe's lithium decree is a turning point in how global trade with Africa works. By holding the line on local processing, one government proved that resource-rich nations still hold real pricing power over the minerals the future economy can't run without. The mandate was bold. The capital answered within months, and the blueprint other African nations are now following starts here. Verified, sourced, and worth watching closely. The real story behind Zimbabwe's lithium decree. Which African resource gets refined at home next? Cobalt, gold, or graphite? Tell us in the comments.